Hey guys, we are back, and I'm back with Cody, not Cora,
Hey,
for an episode of Venture with Joe and Cody. Welcome back, my
right.
man. How was your break from me?
It was wonderful. So relaxing. No, it was
None
good.
of
It
me
was
nagging.
yeah, seriously. It was nice. They were kind of like the fun work event things. You know, a lot of work is I don't know if you want to call it the paperwork side of it. It's more of like the in-depth stuff. This was like had a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
fun events to do that were work related, but they're kind of fun events too. So you kind of get that the fun outside of the office side of things. So had a couple fun things, played some golf, played some cornhole, kissed some babies,
Good,
did the whole thing. Yeah.
good. Yeah, you're gonna be a politician soon,
I think
doing
I'm
your thing,
ready.
networking.
Yeah. I love politics. So
That's good. I
how
didn't
about
tell you in
you?
our live stream. It's good. And I didn't tell you in my live stream, but we did. My niece forced me into a mud run, like a fun run,
Yeah.
um, like one of those 5K, obstacle course things, kind of this
Yeah.
mud rudder, or whatever the heck it is. Um, so I had no experience with it, and I was not motivated to do it. But it actually was a lot of fun. This one was very muddy. Like it was focused more on the mud than like obstacles. It did have like I want to say 6 to 7 obstacles,
Okay.
but uh, it was actually fun, which got me thinking. And this could be my midlife crisis thing. Is I want to do a more difficult one. So I started looking up. I started looking up the mud runs or things like that to kind of like because there's some that are super physical and whatever and obstacles. I
Uh-huh.
love the challenge of it when I was because at my age like you just don't do that stuff anymore, like climbing up walls and
Yeah.
trying to get up. Like those things just don't happen
Sure.
as much. But it kind of I was like that is cool. It was a
It
lot of
sparked
fun to
something
do
for
that. It
you.
wasn't a yeah, it wasn't like a super difficult necessarily. But I was like, okay, I could do a little more challenging one. So I looked
Yeah.
up the events, and there's a Spartan. It's called the Spartan Run, and there's one in Arizona in February. So I'm thinking, and it's close to my parents' house, so
Oh,
I can get
nice.
lodging, for free. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, okay, this one's a little bit more of the challenging kind of, one. It's still a sprint. I think it's a 5K. I think I want to start with 5K and see, and then go 10K if it all
Okay.
goes well and I don't die. Um,
Yeah. Wow.
but yeah, so I'm looking to do the Spartan run, which it sounds like way tougher than it probably is. Like it sounds like
Sure.
it's a super manly event, but yeah,
Yeah.
I was excited about it. I'm glad she got me into it because I was like, I'm kind
That's
of tired
cool.
of running. Like I don't a 10K to me doesn't really excite me as much as it used to, and so I was like, this one actually excites me. It gives me something like a challenge of,
Yeah.
pushing my old man body to do things I haven't done in a long time. So,
Sure.
yeah, I think I'm going
That's
to do
kind
it.
of fun. There's one at the Washougal motocross track that they do,
Oh,
and
really?
it's a yeah. I haven't done it, but I know people that have gone out there, which is probably a challenging one. I'm guessing because there's a lot of elevation changes and just the natural dirt and
Yeah.
jumps and
Yeah.
everything from the track itself. But it always looks fun. I've never done it, but it looks like it's a fun time.
You'll have to send me that. Maybe that is a Spartan one because I think there was one in Washington.
Yeah,
I
there's
can't
I know they
remember.
do the one at the out at the track every year. It might be a Spartan one. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but my
Yeah.
brother, he does the
Well, I want
Iron
to,
Man
like, if I
stuff.
do that one, I want to, oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that's
Like
not going to happen.
the last one he did, I don't remember. I think he was in Idaho somewhere and he did it. Or no, that was Southern California and he he shaved off like an hour of time from what his previous one was. But then he was breaking down like the duration of time of running and biking and swimming, and
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you just spent the last 8 hours doing nothing but running,
Doing
swimming,
that.
and biking.
Yes.
That
I know.
sounds.
I
I
know.
couldn't
It's
do that.
absolutely insane.
I just couldn't do
It's
that. Like, and
insane.
and I mean, to be fair, he trains for it and he enjoys it. It's like it's given him something to train for as opposed to just trying to train to stay in good shape.
Yeah.
So it works for him, but I'm like, man, that's a different beast.
Well, and his training it's full time, like not full time, but I remember
Hmm.
my buddy did it, and it's like takes time away from your family training. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go on a
Yeah.
little run, like,
Right.
at the end of my work shift. It's like
Yes.
he trained at least like morning, like for multiple hours, evening,
Huh.
multiple hours, like
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I
Luckily,
don't know if
his
your brother's the
wife.
same.
Yeah, his wife's really into fitness too, so they just kind of do it together. They don't have any kids, so it's like
Okay,
fitness, training,
okay,
all that is
yeah, that
just
makes it
kind of
easier.
part of
No
their
kids makes it
fun.
much easier.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So they both do. She does like fitness modeling stuff and he does Ironman stuff and I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. Keep doing it, but it works. They're motivated.
Well, I feel like if it's my midlife crisis to go and do this sort of stuff, it's much better than buying
Yeah,
my Corvette.
right?
Like
The Corvette and the drugs and everything,
oh
like you can
man,
just
yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I can do a Spartan run, a 5K Spartan run.
Yes. And it sounds, I mean, it does sound kind
But
of
other than
fun,
that,
like
man,
playing in the mud.
yeah, it was. It was like I still have mud in my fingernails. Like I can't get it out. It's like that was a muddy event. Like it was,
Yeah,
you have to embrace it. And that's hard as an adult too, to be like, I'm going to get
sure.
muddy like on
Uh-huh.
purpose. Like this is what
Yes.
I'm going to do. So it was difficult to get used to that. But once you did,
Uh,
it was kind of a fun event. And it was fun with
yeah.
my niece and my brother-in-law and Christina.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
um, so yeah, so other than that, though, everything's trucking along, man. The market is kind of, I believe, a healthier market overall. I think
Mhm.
buyers have more of a say in this market than sellers. Not to, but sellers also can sell their home pretty easily. It's just being a little bit smarter
Mhm.
and a little more strategic with how you sell it and things like that. But yeah, other than that, there's not really a crazy events to report in the real estate world. Besides that, it's
No.
kind of that pendulum swinging towards the buyers.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that whenever, we've talked about this for years now, whenever the rates shift down a little bit more, because we're still kind of at this in between stage where they're they were lower in February, and we were starting to flirt with like this could really spark quite the market because we were down in the low
Yeah.
sixes, high
Yep.
fives, and things were starting to really kind of pick up,
Hmm.
and then the war and everything, and we're kind of still just like teetering on this like mid six, low six, depending on where you're at with everything. Um, so to your point of the shift of everything, the buyers shift, it's like as soon as those rates start to come down, if we get another 0.5% off, it's gonna start to. I think the sellers are gonna probably enjoy that a little bit more because I think that I mean
Yeah.
we already saw a lot of
Yeah.
activity as they continue to come down for those months, and it's just a waiting game now. So I don't know. It's hard to keep track of is there a ceasefire? Is there not? Is there still what's going
I
on?
know.
Because every time I read something,
You
it's
can't
like,
even like keep track of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, this is finishing. Oh, wait, now they just bombed this place. Okay, so now we're not. And then oil prices go up
for
and then they're
sure.
down. And now I
But
don't
they're
know.
still in a
But
ceasefire, even though there is firing going on.
yes, it's like, oh, that doesn't count. That bomb doesn't count. The ceasefire is still good. But it hasn't really
Yes,
made
for
much of
sure.
a drastic impact on the rates lately. I feel like maybe the markets have kind of just started to say, all right, well, we can't just keep overreacting to every little thing that's happening, which, you know, who knows, but it's been pretty stable the last I'd say month, even though it's been unstable from the rate side. There really hasn't been a lot of like big movement that's happened. So kind of just plugging away with everything. Yep.
Well, cool. Speaking of buyers and sellers market, we were kind of talking off air about talking about first time home buyers, and I had a couple questions.
Mhm.
First time home buyers are a unique thing for us, and it's not unique in the sense that we don't deal with them, but it kind of I love them because one, they're generally just more positive. They're
Mhm.
excited. They're
Yeah.
they love the process generally. They've got lots of questions, and I love it. Like
Mhm.
I forget how much I love being with a first time home buyer through the process. So we've got that. Um, but there's also tons of questions that come with that from home buyers that you and I, and every other lender and agent take advantage of that we're like, oh, they wouldn't know what earnest money
Huh?
is or escrow even means or what all the
Yeah.
stuff that comes with that. So I figured today we'll kind of go over some things. I'll ask you some questions that I have been getting recently from first time home buyers that are completely valid, but
Hmm.
just kind of remind both of us that, like, okay, what do we do here? So,
Yeah.
um, my first one maybe is a little bit more complicated, but if you have, so you guys have first time home buyer programs. Different mortgage places have different programs, like for
Hmm.
first time home buyers. Generally, lower down payments, better rates, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Um, First, if you can explain kind of like the more on an overview of your company's first time home buyer programs and what you provide, but also
Hmm.
does that change if a buyer specifically has a large down payment versus does not have a large down payment? And would you and to add to that question, would you then tell a first time home buyer save your down payment and go with the program because it's better?
Mm, good questions. That is a conversation that does come up periodically. As far as the different programs that we have, so most places have access to different types of programs, and a lot of us have access to the same types of programs, but not every single company has access to all of the things. So ours are primarily state-based agencies. So like we can do, like for me, more Washington Bond, or the Washington State Housing Authority. It's a down payment assistance program for Washington. Oregon Bond, we call it the bond loan. They have a down payment assistance program as well that we use. And those are, depending on the program, like Washington's is not, you're not required to be a first time home buyer. You're just required to be purchasing your primary residence. Oregon, they have two versions of it. One of them, you do have to be a first time home buyer. And if you are a first time home buyer, you do get a better rate. If you're not, you can still use it, but they just put you in a little bit of a different box. So your rate's a little bit higher, but you can still use it. There's also ones through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So for conventional loans, called Home Ready and Home Possible. They're not down payment assistance programs, but they let you put down 3% and you get a better interest rate. So to kind of
Okay.
parlay that with your question of larger down payment, if you are using any type of low down payment type of program, when you start to put more down, you start to lose that benefit of the lower rate. Because where you're getting
Okay.
the benefit is by putting that little bit down, it's factoring that in into the way that the loans are priced out, the way that the rates are structured, that you get your biggest benefit at that low down payment because that's kind of who the program is intended for. So once your down payment starts to go up, you start to lose a lot of that benefit, and then your rate ends up being just what it would be for anybody else. So a lot of that stuff you can still do it, but now you're not really, it's not
You're not taking
providing
advantage
you
of
any
it.
benefit. Yeah, you could still do it. It's like this, it's essentially the same thing.
So I know that you have, this is for each individual specifically and what their goals are. But would you say that it's better? So say I have $200,000 to put down that I have available to put down as a down payment on a home on our first home, and it would be
Hmm.
$600,000-$700,000 house.
Yeah.
Would you suggest, generally speaking, that hey, keep that money in your pocket for a rainy day or whatever, and use the first time home buyer program because it's
Hmm.
better? Or
Hmm.
would you say it's better to throw down that money?
Uh, I would say it's probably going to be a mix because I think that by financing all of it, your payment's going to be up probably pretty high. Say in that situation where you're financing $600,000 or so, you're probably going to have a
Yeah.
pretty hefty payment. So part of it would be, what do we need to figure out to get your payment comfort to where you can handle it? Ideally, I would say I would not want to put down all of that money because
Hmm.
one, you're going to be your all your money is tied to the house, which is not that big of a deal. But now, in order to get that money, whenever you do, you're either going to have to
Yeah,
do a
you
cash
can't.
out refi, or maybe get a HELOC set up. Um,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
always a fan of people being able to keep some of their money for uh, rainy day stuff, incidentals. Like you just never know when your car's going to break down. You never know when
Hmm.
some weird thing's going to happen. You got a tree that falls on your fence or something. It's like, well, now there's 8 grand that I got to spend on my fence. And there's just so many
For
incidentals
sure.
that come up that I think we don't expect them to happen, but they always happen at the wrong time. So I always like the idea of having that, especially when you have all that money. I think it would be a hard thing to go through. Of we have all this money and now we put it all into the house, and now we need money, and I don't have the money because it's all sitting there in the house.
Yeah.
So I would try to really kind of nerd out a little bit on the numbers of what's a payment that's comfortable for you. Let's see what we can get to without using all your money. And if we have to use all your money to get you
Yeah.
there, then you know what's
Then
most
deal with it.
important
Yeah.
to have a comfortable payment with no money in the bank, or maybe split the difference and try to get something where maybe you're paying a couple $100 more a month that you want to, but you've still got $50,000 sitting in the bank. Um, so I lean towards that, but I'm probably more of a cautious wait for something to happen, just because it's like, you go through life, and the things that end up happening that make you need the money are when you don't have the money. So
For sure. Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, what would you
What about
say
you?
about well, what I would say is the same thing. I always say you think that you have that down payment, and you do have that down payment, but save some. If you're getting a new house, you're going to need new furniture, you're going to need new, you generally want new bedding, new appliances, whatever that may be. You don't want
Yeah.
to be broke for the same reason. As be like, you want that money to be able to buy that stuff and not be putting it on a credit card because you just put everything
Yeah.
on that on the down payment. So I kind of go the same route, unless the down payment program or first buyer home burn program is just smoking. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's a balance. Like, see if you. I
Sure.
always lean to, like, see if you can do it with the least amount, unless your
Mhm.
goal is to pay off the mortgage. Like, if you're like, my sole
Yeah.
goal is to pay this house down, then you probably just want to max out your down payment so you can kind of have
Mhm.
the most equity. But
Yeah.
if your goal, like 99% of people in society, is to just have a payment that you can manage, um, then you kind of play with those numbers and say, hey, if you can keep 100 of that thousand and work with that, using a first time home buyer program or whatever, then just do
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts.
And it's a very different situation too. Like if the conversation is we have $15,000 or $20,000,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then I'm probably going to push them much harder to
For
think
sure. You
about
have
doing the
to.
down payment assistance stuff, because it's like you're gonna zap all your, and that took you a long time to save that up and get that there. Your payment difference, because if you're only putting down the minimum down payment anyways, your payment difference is going to be very, very minimal. So you might
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
take the money that's there,
For sure.
um, and use that rather than clearing it out. If somebody's got a lot more money, that's a little bit of a different conversation. But yeah, if it's like,
Yeah.
I can scrape up enough to get a down payment, I'd be like, dude, let's just go down payment
Let's go with
assistance.
that.
Like,
Yo,
yeah,
totally.
you've
Totally.
worked hard to get this. Let's keep it in your account.
Yeah, your options open up significantly when you have that much money. You have,
Hmm.
20, 30% down. Your
Yeah,
options work out a lot to talk to a lender. Don't just assume that you should throw it all in there because,
yeah,
a $50,000, say, you may be able to keep 50,000 and nothing really changes on your mortgage,
right. Yep.
or your payments. So then you have
Hmm.
that 50K in cash. So um, things like, okay, a couple other things, earnest money. So earnest money is money that they put down once you go under contract with a house. You're putting down a certain amount of earnest money towards, to show that you're serious about buying this house. And it normally goes to the title company or escrow company. They're both kind of intertwined as terms. One of the questions I get asked a lot, though, from first time home buyers is the earnest money part of the down payment? So, say I have $100,000 as a down payment. I'm going to put down $10,000 of earnest money. Where does that earnest money fit in the final numbers?
Hmm. Good question. I get that one asked a lot too. That one, yes, it's going to go towards your down payment. And say in a situation like we were just talking about, where it was down payment assistance, and there's no down payment that's required from you as the buyer, and the closing costs are being paid for by the seller, you would get your earnest money back at the end, because you would not have any money that was due from you. Your earnest money essentially was going to go towards the down payment, but in this case, it wouldn't. So it's going to come back to you. If you're putting your own down payment down, then that's just going to be $10,000 less that you're going to be coming to closing with. Since you've already put it down, you got 10 down, you're going to come to closing with 90. And or if you have extra closing costs, it is essentially going to be applied to whatever money you have left due at closing. So it's like
Okay.
your security
And,
deposit.
and the on that note, then is that same thing go for the appraisal? You got to put earnest money down within the first few business days, generally
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and it goes to the title company. Title company holds on to all of your money and kind of handles all the mortgage, takes all that stuff and holds on to it. Is that the same? I know that an appraisal, you get asked a lot from first time home buyers. I see that the appraisal fee is due now. Does
Mm-hmm.
that go towards my down payment as well, similar to earnest money?
No, the appraisal fee, like that's going to go straight to it right from the get go. So the appraisal is prepaid, kind of like the inspection, like the home
Okay.
inspection. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be deducted from your closing cost at the end because you've already paid for it up front. So, and depending on the situation, if there's seller credits where they're covering stuff, then we don't have to get payment up front from them because we're going to credit that from the seller. But if the seller's not crediting anything, then the buyer has to prepay for that appraisal. But it
Okay.
will get knocked off the number at the end because appraisal fees right now, for the most part, in the general kind of Portland, Vancouver area, are usually like around $600.
Okay.
So it's going to reduce their number to close, but that's not because they don't have to pay it anymore. It's because they already paid it up front.
Yeah.
So,
Well, leads us into a perfect segue because we're talking about two of the terms that get very intertwined and confusing.
mm,
Um, you have a buyer that says, "I have $100,000 down payment on the home." Then lender and real estate agent talk about, okay, closing costs are, 12, $15,000 and appraisal fees, $600. There's an inspection. I think the two terms that get confused with the most with buyers and with everyone really is closing costs and down
mm-hmm,
payment. Like,
mm-hmm,
are they the same? Are they intertwined in any way? What does it mean? So, say for example, walk us through a buyer that says, "I have $100,000 down to purchase this house. No,
mm-hmm.
no, gimme's from the seller. Let's just make it a clean deal. 100,000
Yeah,
down on a house. What do they need to bring to the table? Because you're like, oh, closing cost is this and this and this. Is that down payment, or is that separate?
sure. Yeah. So they're going to be separate, but I know exactly what you're talking about because sometimes you get people that are like, I have $100,000 and I'll ask them. Usually it's just a lot of asking questions to kind of uncover what they're thinking because sometimes it's $100,000 in total. I don't want to bring more than
Yeah,
$100,000. So
yeah,
let's do down payment of X amount plus closing costs to equal $100,000. Um, which is usually what it ends up being, because a lot of times people don't really know, or maybe they've just gone off the numbers of I'm going to put 100,000 down and whatever the closing costs are, we'll kind of figure that out. But they
for
are
sure.
two very separate things. So the closing cost number doesn't really change that much. So it's kind of, depending on the title company, depending on the appraiser,
Yeah,
depending on the
yeah,
lender, they're going to vary a little bit. But overall, like generalized, it's going to be pretty similar. The down payment, though, you can change that, modify that. So if they decided, hey, I want to put down $100,000, and we figured out you really want to put down like 85, and that extra 15 is going to go towards closing costs. That's a very easy number to change and kind of modify. Whereas the closing costs, we can't really modify that a whole lot. Those numbers are going to be pretty well set. So it's either going to be some form of combination of numbers, but I usually try to drill that down with people early on because I'll ask them, hey, how much money do you have set aside for this transaction? And it's
yeah.
usually, oh, we're planning on putting down $100,000. Okay, perfect. Do you want to do $100,000 down plus the closing costs, or do you want to do 100,000 out of your bank account total? Because we'll try to get it as close to 100,000 as possible with everything. So usually it's that tends to be the number, because I think a lot of times people will have a number of what they can afford to part ways with for the
Yes.
transaction,
Yes.
but it doesn't usually include closing costs. It's like, okay, we've got 100,000, we're going to put 100,000 down. And then it's like, oh wait, there's still
There's
twelve,
still 12 to
fifteen thousand
15,000. Yep.
dollars
Yep.
that somebody's got to pay for. Um,
And
so
that's at the
yeah,
closing table, correct? Like when we say closing table,
yes.
that's at signing. You need to either have your funds wired to the title company or have a
Hmm.
cashier's check, whatever they require of that money. And it's interesting because even you explaining it, I know it, but it's good to hear the
Yeah,
explanation because I
sure.
think you put it in a good way because I think that the vast majority of people, including myself, are like we have $200,000 we can put down, Cody, on this house, and you're like, cool. And if you didn't explain that, and then it's like we get to the table and you're like, hey, we have $200,000. Oh, by the way, you have $215,000
Right.
because you have to pay closing costs. I'd be like, no,
Uh,
no, no. Like this is
yeah.
I told you what I had. So it's very important if you're a first time home buyer to listen to this portion because really tell the lender what you have total
Hmm.
to spend. And go
Hmm.
over those details of the amount that you're going to have to bring to the table because I think that, and it's not wrong on them. I think the majority of people go in saying, I have $100,000 in my bank account. This is what I can spend on a down payment, not
Yeah.
knowing that closing costs are separate of that. They come they come along with the down payment because you have to pay it
Yeah.
all at the same time, but they're
Uh-huh.
different fees that aren't that like clean. Just this is what I'm paying on the home. So
Sure. Yeah, and you start to run into it, because I think that there's, like, you look at it and you're going, okay, we got 100,000 to put towards this transaction. But I think even just the mental side of, you got the earnest money, that's an out of pocket kind of thing early on. You have appraisal fee, you have
yeah,
inspection fee,
yeah,
you have maybe additional inspection fees. And I think even just that alone is like, it kind of adds that extra little bit of stress if it hasn't really been gone over, because you're thinking in your head, all right, we've got 30 days or 20 days or however long before we part ways with this money once everything is done. But in the moment, you're like, oh man, okay, there's another check. There's
yeah.
another check.
That 100,000
You know,
goes like dwindling and dwindling, and then you're like, okay, I don't have $100,000 down. If you're not
yeah.
prepared for what you have to do there.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but it's a good conversation thing, and I feel like for a lot of us, it's just going through those situations over time where you do have somebody that's like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me that I had? Why didn't you tell me that there were going to be this much in closing costs?" And in my head, I'm like, "Well, I thought we did, but I must not have gone over it clearly
explained
enough."
it, yeah, for sure.
Of like, hey, here's just kind of a walkthrough. So I feel like over time you just start to notice those little things and go, it's like my wife always says, like, communication is key, because I'm sometimes you just kind of take things
You
for
can get into the
granted, or you
assumption
just,
category of you
yes,
should. I thought you knew that. Like I assumed you would
yes.
know that
And it's like,
as a
okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's a good reminder. I need to go back to
for
like
sure,
base level, and you tell me if you've already heard all this stuff. You tell me to
for
shut
sure.
up if you've already heard this. If not, then I'm going to go through this like you're a first time home buyer, even though you've owned 5 homes in your lifetime. Because the reality is, if you don't do it all the time, it feels like a whole new experience, even if it's
It
been
is.
2 years since you purchased, because
Yeah,
chances are the rules have changed a little bit. You forgot some of it. It was either really in your head, it was a really easy experience or a really
yeah,
difficult experience. So the next time you go through it, you're like, man, I don't even remember what happened. I just remember this
yeah,
sucked.
yeah. And
Or it was
it's a
really easy and
reminder.
great.
Yeah, I'm like thinking of the conversations of just I've been having recently, and it's just so it's cool because it does. I even start. Christina's in the mortgage industry, so she'll start talking on the phone about like blah 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 and your APR and blah 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 and down payment and blah and you can I can't even see them, but I know they're getting confused. Like, and
Sure.
it's not Christina's fault, but I'm like this is
Yeah.
not because we're
Hmm.
like and then you put this in escrow and then your earnest money's this and oh you might want to adjust this because closing costs would be this and they're like what all these terms you just keep saying like I have no
Yes.
idea what anything so it's good to have that. I just love
Hmm.
first time home buyers. I love them.
I know.
And I think that on that note, as we close out this, is like it's very important to talk to the lender and the agent about these items. Do not feel stupid. And if your agent or lender makes you feel stupid or cannot explain these things, you need to
Hmm.
find a new one because
Yes.
this stuff is complicated. Like I think it
Hmm.
reminds me that this stuff is complicated because whenever you get into something and you get into a routine, you just know what to do, and
Yeah.
The first time home buyers they're great at reminding me that this process is not easy and it's very
Hmm.
convoluted and there's a ton of paperwork and there's a ton of questions that are asked of you and there's a ton of things going on. And it just
Right.
really is important to have a team in place that is going to explain this to you and not make you feel like an idiot with it because you're
Hmm.
not. No one, like you said, Cody, you've worked with people like 5, 6 homes that don't know what they're doing because you
Right.
don't do it often. Even
Yes.
5 or 6 times is not often in this world to
Huh.
be like, I'm an expert at what this does, or what goes
Right.
on here. So,
And I can guarantee that the person that asks all the questions and gets everything figured out by the end is much happier than the person that's like, because I've ran into that too, where people will wait till towards the very end to start asking some questions, and they're like, "Well, I thought I knew it all. I thought I knew everything, but
yeah.
as more stuff went on, I realized I don't quite understand some of this
Yeah.
stuff
I don't
because
understand it.
I I think we both are probably pretty good about like, hey, do you have any questions on this? Like after you
Yeah.
walk through whatever the situation is, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, I got it, and so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm assuming
I
that you've
know.
got it, and
I think it's
then
a protection
it,
mechanism.
it
Like,
totally is.
I think as
Yeah.
adults, they kind of feel like if I don't know this, they're going to think I'm stupid,
Right.
and trust me, you're not
Uh
stupid.
huh.
Like,
Yes.
and you can say it all the time. And I'm like, guys, just ask. Like, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
dumb question. None of them are dumb questions. So,
Right. Yeah.
if we leave this
And we
podcast, it's like, ask everything you want.
yes. And
So,
for us, we would much rather have that addressed at the time of too, because
hmm
towards the end of the transaction, things just get a little more stressful. So if it's like, you don't understand something or you're not sure, or this number was different than what you were expecting, but you didn't say anything 2 weeks ago, it just
yeah,
kind of builds the stress on it. So
for
asking
sure.
it while you're feeling it makes it so much easier and less surprises that happen towards the end. And yeah.
And there's less and less you can adjust in the end, like towards the
Yeah.
end. And there's a lot
Right.
more you can adjust if you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Cody, can you change this?
Hmm.
Like, is there a way to adjust this? Or
Yeah.
because I wasn't aware that was going to be an outgo right away or, those sort of things. So, yeah. Anyways, I
Yeah.
love first time home buyers. So,
Me too. Me too. They
and it's
they
good
bring it all
refresher for
back.
us. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I love it. So, okay. Well, that's it, man. It was good to see you.
Okay.
By the
Hey, you
time
too.
this airs, I know that I don't think, well, no, you're World Cup. Are you following the World Cup?
I am casually following it. Yes, I did wear this for Team USA today.
I love it. I
It's not a
love it.
USA
And
shirt, but it's just
yes, we're filming today, but it's like, or we're filming on the day the U.S. Is playing, so
yeah.
it'll be out on Friday. So we won't know. We'll know by the time this airs who won, and I'm
We're
hoping it's the U.S. But
I already
um,
know.
okay, well, what do you
Yeah,
think? We should just
it's
celebrate the win right now. Like,
it's 2-1, 2-1,
yeah.
or
Okay.
Oregon, U.S.
Okay.
wins.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't follow soccer ever, but the World Cup
I
I
don't
follow,
either.
and Rory hates it. And
Uh,
I just it is a long time of a lot of like non-scoring, but I'm like
yeah.
it's fun when the U.S. is in it, and it's just
Uh huh.
and Scotland was in it, and so it
Yeah.
was like I had that too. So I think it's been fun, but Rory is like, I was like, you excited for the U.S. game? He's like, no, like I'm not
It's like,
excited.
no, dude,
He's like,
come
it's
on.
soccer. I was like, Rory, it's still cool. It's sports. You're an athlete.
Right?
Gosh, come
Yeah.
on.
I know, and
But
it doesn't
anyways,
mean you
looking
have to
forward to
sit there
that.
and watch the whole game, but you can,
Yeah.
because like we have it on at the office, and it's like I'll peek out there
Yeah.
and watch for
Yeah.
two
It's fun.
minutes, and then I'm like, all right, well, go back to work, and
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
yeah,
And then we got July 4th by the time I see you next. So you have a
that's right.
happy July 4th,
Yes,
250 years of the U.S. Dominating. So that's
that's
good.
right.
And
I love it.
that's pretty much it. So until
Yeah,
next week, man, thanks so much for meeting up, and we'll talk to you soon.
yeah. Thank you. Sounds good, man. We'll
Okay.
see ya.
See ya.
All right.